Welcome to the YouTube lessons on interpretation of ECGs. I am Dr. Mrs. D.S. Gunawardena. I have been working attached to National Hospital Kandy, Sri Lanka since year 2003. Since then, I have been conducting classes on interpretation of ECGs to medical students, medical officers and postgraduate trainees. The textbook ECGs in Clinical Practice was written and published by me in year 2019, which contains both of my teaching and clinical experiences. Material in this YouTube lecture series are from textbook ECGs in Clinical Practice. I hope this lecture series on interpretation of ECGs will help you to interpret ECGs. Lesson 10. Calculation of the cardiac axis. In clinical practice, calculation of the cardiac axis should be simple as well as it should be very quick. As you know, abnormal cardiac axis can occur in the presence of structural heart diseases. Not only that, in certain cardiac emergencies, as an example, in ventricular tachyarrhythmias, cardiac axis can be abnormal. Analysis of the cardiac axis can be done by going through limb leads, lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3O AVF. The polarities of the QRS complexes in lead 3 and AVF are the same. Therefore, one can select lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3 to calculate the cardiac axis, but another person can select lead 1, lead 2 and AVF to calculate the cardiac axis depending on their preferences. To calculate the cardiac axis, the interpreter should be able to find out the polarity of the QRS complex. Polarities of QRS complexes can be positive, negative or isoelectric. In this slide, you can see 3 QRS complexes. The first QRS complex shows R wave only. Therefore, the polarity of this first QRS complex is positive. The vector of this QRS complex is upwards. Coming to the second complex, you can see a dominant R wave with a low amplitude S wave. It is termed as capital R simple S. In this complex, again the polarity is positive and the vector of this complex is upwards. Coming to the third complex, you can see again a dominant R wave with a low amplitude Q wave. It is termed as simple Q capital R complex. In this complex, again, the polarity is positive and the QRS vector is upwards. Therefore, if you see this kind of QRS complexes, they have positive polarities and their vectors are upwards. In this slide, you can see 3 QRS complexes. In first QRS complex, you can see QS complex. This is a QS complex. There is no R wave. QS complex. So, it has negative polarity. The vector of the complex is downwards. In second complex, you can see dominant S wave with a low amplitude R wave. So it is termed simple R capital S. The polarity of this complex is negative and the QRS vector is down. Coming to the third complex, you can see dominant Q wave with low amplitude R wave. So this is termed capital Q simple R complex. In this complex, QRS polarity is negative and the vector of the QRS complex is again downwards. In this slide, you can see a QRS complex in which the amplitude of the R wave is equal to the amplitude of the S wave. This is termed capital R capital S complex. In this complex, the vector is 0 and this is called an isoelectric QRS complex. Now you learnt about polarities of QRS complexes by using lead 1, 2, 3 or AVF. You can calculate the cardiac axis. Step 1. First note the QRS polarity of lead 2. It can be positive, it can be negative or it can be isoelectric. If the QRS polarity in lead 2 is positive, there are two possibilities. The cardiac axis could be either normal or it could be right axis deviation. If the QRS polarity in lead 2 is negative, the cardiac axis can be left axis deviation or extreme axis deviation. If the QRS complex in lead 2 is isoelectric, the cardiac axis is marginal axis deviation, but still within the normal limits. As we discussed, in lead 2, if the polarity is positive, the cardiac axis can be either normal axis or right axis deviation. As I discussed before, if the polarity in lead 2 is positive, it could be either normal axis or right axis deviation. Now let's see how to differentiate right axis deviation from normal cardiac axis. Step 2. Analyze lead 1 and lead 3 or AVF depending on your preference. If QRS polarities in lead 1 and lead 3 or AVF are also positive, you can make the diagnosis of normal cardiac axis. That means in all three leads, lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3, the QRS polarities are positive in normal axis. If you go through this slide, you can see in lead 1 positive polarity, lead 2 positive polarity because there is a dominant R wave. In lead 3 again positive polarity because of the dominant R wave. So in this patient, the cardiac axis is within normal limits. Now let's see how to diagnose right axis deviation. As I mentioned earlier, if there is a positive polarity in lead 2, there are two possibilities. It could be normal axis or it could be right axis deviation. So first step is to look at the polarity in lead 2. Now it is positive. The second step is analyze the QRS polarities in lead 1 and lead 3. In this patient, lead 1 has negative QRS polarity. That means the vector of the QRS complex is downwards. Coming to lead 3, the QRS polarity is positive and the vector of this QRS complex is upwards. Therefore, two vectors of these two QRS complexes are reaching each other. Reaching pattern of vectors in lead 1 and lead 3. In the presence of positive polarity in lead 2 makes the diagnosis of right axis deviation. So it is easy to remember. Reaching pattern start from the letter R and right axis deviation start from the letter R. So if you see positive polarity in lead 2 with reaching pattern in lead 1 and lead 3, you can make the diagnosis of right axis deviation. If there is negative polarity in lead 2, what are the possibilities? It could be left axis deviation or it could be extreme axis deviation. Now let's see how to differentiate those two. Now in this slide, lead 2 there is negative polarity. Then second step, analyze the polarities in lead 1 and lead 3. In lead 1 you can see positive polarity and in lead 3 you can see negative polarity. In lead 1 therefore the QRS vector is upwards. In lead 3 the QRS vector is downwards. Therefore these two vectors have leave-in pattern. In the presence of negative polarity in lead 2, if there is leave-in pattern of QRS vectors in lead 1 and lead 3, you can make the diagnosis of LAD, left axis deviation. The word leave-in start from the letter L and the left axis deviation again start with the letter L, so it is easier for you to remember. If so, therefore, if there is negative polarity in lead 2 with leave-in pattern of vectors in lead 1 and lead 3, you can make the diagnosis of left axis deviation. In this slide, again in lead 2, there is negative polarity. Then analyze lead 1 and lead 3. In lead 1, what you can see is dominant Q wave, that means negative polarity. In lead 3, again there is a QS complex, that is negative polarity. If you see negative polarities in all three leads, lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3, that means that patient has extreme axis deviation. In this patient, the cardiac axis lies opposite to the normal axis. In lead 2, if you see an isoelectric QRS complex, that means, as I mentioned earlier, the vector of this QRS complex is 0. With that, if you see leave-in pattern in lead 1 and lead 3, this patient has marginal left axis deviation. Similarly, In the presence of isoelectric complex in lead 2 and if lead 1 and lead 3 show reach in pattern, that means patient has marginal right axis deviation. But remember that the cardiac axis is still within the normal limits. But in a given patient, if the disease process progresses, there will be deepening of amplitude in S wave. In that case, the QRS polarity of this complex is negative. With the progression of disease, the QRS complex can change into negative polarity. With the negative polarity, there is a leave-in pattern. The patient's marginal left axis has progressed into left axis deviation. This can happen with the progression of disease process. Now, this slide shows limb leads, lead 1, 2, 3, RLF. Let's calculate the cardiac axis. First step, look at the polarity in lead 2. There is a dominant R wave with a low amplitude S wave. Therefore, polarity is positive. If the polarity in lead 2 is positive, it could be either normal axis or right axis deviation. Next, look at QRS polarities in lead 1 and lead 3. In lead 1, there is a dominant S wave. Therefore, the QRS polarity in lead 1 is negative. And the vector of the QRS complexes in lead 1 is downwards. Here, coming to lead 3, the QRS complex has positive polarity. There is a dominant R wave with a very low amplitude Q wave. And the vector of QRS complexes is upwards. So, in this case, there is reach-in pattern of vectors in lead 1 and lead 3 together with positive polarity in lead 2. That means the diagnosis is right axis deviation. In addition to that, in this ECG, you can see prominent P waves, P pulmonale. Actually, this patient had pulmonary hypertension. That's why he has P pulmonale with right axis deviation. Let's analyze this slide axis. In lead 2, there is negative polarity. That means it could be left axis deviation or extreme axis deviation. Second step, move to lead 1 and lead 3. In lead 1, there is positive polarity. That means the vector of QRS complexes is upwards. Coming to lead 3, there is QS complexes. The QRS polarity is negative and the vector of QRS complexes is downwards. So that means in lead 1 and lead 3, the QRS vectors are leaving each other. In the presence of negative polarity in lead 2 and if there is a leave-in pattern of QRS vectors in lead 1 and lead 3, that patient has left axis deviation. Now, Let's see what are the causes of abnormal cardiac access. Right axis deviation. Moderate to severe pulmonary hypertension can cause right axis deviation. Left axis deviation. As you know, anterior hemiblock can cause left axis deviation. Extreme axis deviation can occur in life-threatening hyperkalemia and also in some cases of ventricular tachycardia. If I summarize the calculation of cardiac axis, first step, analyze the QRS polarity in lead 2. If QRS polarity in lead 2 is positive, it could be either normal axis or right axis deviation. Next, analyze QRS polarities in lead 1 and lead 3 or AVF depending on your preference. In lead 1 and lead 3, if you see a reach-in pattern of QRS vectors in the presence of positive QRS polarity in lead 2, you can make the diagnosis of right axis deviation. In lead 2, if you see a negative polarity together with a leave-in pattern of QRS vectors in lead 1 and lead 3, you can make the diagnosis of left axis deviation. But in lead 1, 2 and 3, in all 3 leads, if you see positive QRS polarities, that is normal axis. If you see in all 3 leads, lead 1, 2 and 3, negative QRS polarities, those patients have extreme axis deviation. We have come to the end of the lesson 10. I hope you have gone through lessons from 1 to 9. If not so, I have given the link in the description. Thank you.